Broadway Is My Beat. From Times Square to Columbus Circle, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world.
Broadway Is My Beat, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover.
Broadway. It's a place you drift to because the other promises you've made to yourself never happen. It's a place where you leave your life behind and stand on a street corner beating down a stream in your throat. It's the best of the 1,001 nights you dreamed of. The place in the world where something happens to you outside of the movies. It's Broadway, My Beat. At 6 p.m., Broadway is getting ready for the nighttime. There's a feeling to it. Fury crouches in the doorways, waiting till all the lights burn off. The feeling trails down into the small streets that feed Broadway. Down into the small streets and around corners. Somehow, on that Friday night, it stops in front of a particular house. Mrs. Brandeis lives there. And through the window, you see her standing in front of a candelabra of 7 candles, the palms of her hands pressed against her face. You wait, then you press the bell.
Danny Clover. Oh, it's good you came tonight, Danny.
Good Shabbos, Mrs. Brandeis.
Thank you, Danny. Please, come in. Danny, you got some news? You heard something about my son?
Yes, that's why I came, Mrs. Brandeis.
In the parlor. There, we can sit down. There you can tell me the news of my son.
Your husband, Mrs. Brandeis?
Yes. Oh, listen to him, Danny. Already, Mr. Brandeis is paying for our son the prayer for the dead. Please sit down.
Thanks.
To him, Maury is already dead. He said to me then, Mr. Brandeis said that no son of his was a murderer. To him, he said such a son is dead. So to him, it's not Maury who sits in prison. It's a stranger.
I don't know how to say this, Mrs. Brandeis.
Oh, say it, Dennis, say it.
Mrs. Brandeis, the plea for stay of execution. You see, the board that handles...
What, Dennis? Say it.
The execution takes place Monday morning at 1 o'clock.
They're going to kill my son. Execute. That's the word they use for killing my son.
What can I say to you?
Say this. Tell them no, Dennis. Tell them they can't do this. This execute. Tell them, Dennis.
Mrs. Brandeis.
Tell them this is a notion they've got that my boy is a murderer. This board, these people who think such a thing, what do they know of Maury?
There's nothing I can do.
Maury didn't kill anyone. You tell them that, Dennis.
If Maury was innocent, I'd tell them.
Oh, Dennis. A mother who has looked into the heart of her son tells you this. Maury didn't do this thing. Her mother tells you this.
I'd better go, Mrs. Brandeis.
Yeah, Dennis, go. Good night.
When I left, the chant of an old man's prayer for his dead son was in my ears. But rising above it was a twisted melody all mixed up with lament and hope and desperation. And that would be Mrs. Brandeis. And that would be all I had to go on. The instant of a man's dying had been written down and sealed and approved, and all I had to do was to tear it all up like it had never happened. And that could be the mission of a fool. So I'm a fool. So I went back to my office headquarters and waited for Sergeant Tartaglia to bring in the file on Maury Brandeis. And when he brought it in, it was 10 o'clock of a Friday night.
It's 10 o'clock, Danny.
That means something to you?
Oh, yeah, Danny.
How did you bring me on Maury Brandeis?
Oh, everything, the works. But I could sketch it for you, Danny. This way, we could all go home earlier, you and me.
All right, sketch it.
A sketch, to wit. On May 22, 1949, at 11 o'clock of the same evening, May 22, 1949, one Maury Brandeis did hold up the jewelry shop of one Charles Gilbert. He did, in process of hold-up, shoot one Mary Gilbert in the back. Said Mary Gilbert being the daughter of aforesaid Charles Gilbert, jewelry shop proprietor.
What says he did all that?
What says is two witnesses. One, Phil Alexander, male, and one, Nicky Thomas, female.
They saw the killing?
Yeah, Danny, yeah. What they seen goes like this. Phil and Nicky was walking home from a dance. They see Brandeis with a gun in the girl's back. The girl has got her hands in the air. They hear the shot. They run to call the police.
How did they know it was Brandeis?
Oh, they didn't, Danny. They didn't. They had presence of mind to note down the license number of a new Nash car standing on the street in front of the store with its motor running. In this car was found the gun, the loot, the ownership tag of one Maury Brandeis, which was found asleep drunk in his house 2 hours later by one of our boys. Can I go home now?
Yeah, Detective, go home. Then it was 10:15. In the night, the city makes a somber, tearing music that beeps through stone and shrieks through your open window. So you slam the window. It's still there. You try to memorize the details that will bring death to a man on Monday morning at 1 o'clock. And finally, when your eyes feel as if they'll crack, you've memorized them. Then it's dawn and you're wrapped in sleep. Then you waken and it's something to eat. Then you wait for a man named Charles Gilbert to open his jewelry shop. You watch him move slowly out of the curtained shadows at the rear of his shop, and slowly walk, and slowly unlock the door. And it's 9 o'clock Saturday morning.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Beautiful morning, isn't it?
You're Mr. Gilbert? Mr. Charles Gilbert?
Yes, that's me. You're early, aren't you? On your way to work?
Mr. Gilbert,
Oh, I know. You want to buy before the rush. Well, come in, please. You'll find I have some excellent values on sale, sir. You read my ad in the news? Expensive, but worth it if customers come so early.
I'm Danny Clover, Police Department. I want to talk to you, Mr. Gilbert.
Is it about the murder of my daughter?
Can we go in the back of the store and talk, Mr. Gilbert?
Yes, of course. Through the curtains, Mr. Clover.
Thank you.
You understand, Mr. Clover, that whatever words we will speak over my daughter will bring me great pain.
I'll make it as easy as I can. I'm trying to save a man's life, Mr. Gilbert.
A murderer's life?
There's a question in my mind if he is a murderer.
There's none in mine, Mr. Clover.
I want you to go over the night of the holdup with me, Mr. Gilbert. Everything, the simplest, the most ordinary details. Everything.
I have already done that with you, police, Mr. Clover. Is that how you work? To rake through a man's brain?
That's how we work.
It was a Thursday night. It was late. Someone pounded on the door, kept pounding. My daughter said she'd get up and see what it was. I told her not to bother. They'd go away, I told her.
Go on, Mr. Gilbert.
Ruth slipped on her old coat and went to the door. She opened it. I heard her say, "What do you want?" And then I heard the door close, and then whispers, and then the shot. That terrible, terrible crashing sound, and Ruth's cry to me. Like when she was a little girl. No, Mr. Clover.
You have customers, Mr. Gilbert.
Good morning.
Well, you mind if we look around, Dad? My wife and me are in the market for a bauble. Nothing's too good for my wife. Isn't that right, wife?
Please go ahead. I'll be in the back of the store. Just call me when you're ready.
Yeah, sure thing, Dad.
Do you want more, Mr. Clover?
All of it. All of it.
I picked up my child, Mr. Clover, and put her on the bed. She was still alive then. I took off her coat. He shot her in the back. I held her like a baby in my arms. And she died. You want to save a murderer's life, Mr. Clover. Save it and my curse on you.
Coat. No, coat was mentioned in the transcript. Why wasn't it mentioned, Mr. Gilbert?
How would I know, Mr. Clover?
Where is that coat?
I gave it away.
To whom?
To a boy who comes in Saturdays and cleans my shop. A boy by the name of Robert Shaw.
Do you know where he lives?
In Harlem, Mr. Clover, 1229 West 117th Street. I know because I have to send him postcards to reach him. The coat is important?
I wouldn't know. I'm sorry, Mr. Gilbert, but I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. standing there in front of a house in Harlem and trying not to look like a policeman. But somehow the people who lean from the windows and stare at you, the over-the-shoulder glances you get from passers-by, you can't hide it. So you pat a kid on the head and smile and look around, but nobody smiles back at you, not even the kid. The man you're waiting for acknowledges your greeting with a short nod.
Yeah, I'm Robert Shaw.
I'm Danny Clover, police.
Well?
I need some help from you, Shaw.
From me? Help?
It's about a coat, a woman's coat.
I've been lucky. I've found an honest job. I don't have to steal.
I didn't say anything about stealing.
No, you didn't. You just said it was about a woman's coat.
The coat that belonged to a murdered girl.
Mary Gilbert?
That's right. Where's that coat?
Her father gave it to me. I didn't ask him. He said, here, Robert, here's a coat. He said maybe I could use it.
But a coat for a woman?
Yeah, for a woman. For my sister Ethel. I gave it to her.
Where does your sister live?
1115 West 138th Street, apartment 3. But you won't find her there.
Where is she?
Well, try the Harlem Hospital, mister. I got word this morning early that that's where my sister was. In the hospital.
Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. You walk slowly up the worn sandstone steps. Slowly because somehow you never hurry when you can walk into a hospital. And a nun accepts your question quietly and tells you to wait because the girl's asleep. And you wait. And your eyes dart through open doorways in the hospital corridor. And you wait. And it's 4 o'clock. And it's 5, and still you wait. And the smell of the hospital melts into the furtive sounds and the quiet footsteps, and you doze. And then there's a gentle tap on your shoulder, and it's 8 o'clock. And you're shown a ward and a numbered bed. And a tired girl who tries not to be frightened.
But I've already been questioned by the police, Mr. Clover.
I know. This will only take a moment.
What do you want to know?
About the coat, Ethel. About the coat your brother gave you.
I told him. I told him all about it.
Tell me.
I was walking home, Mr. Clover. It was late.
When?
Last night. It was very late, about midnight. That's when it was.
Tell me just what happened, Ethel.
As soon as I stepped down from the curb, the alley curb, Mr. Clover, he came out of the alley. It was dark.
Then you don't know who he was?
I still don't, Mr. Clover. He stood close to me and whispered in my ear. He said he would give me $10 for the coat I was wearing.
The coat?
Yes. Then he hit me. He started to tear the coat. Tried to tear it off of me. But I screamed and the man ran. And a policeman was standing over me.
I see. Where's the coat now?
It's over there, Mr. Clover. It's in the closet.
This one?
Yes. Take it, Mr. Clover. Take it. It's a dead girl's coat. I don't want it anymore.
9 o'clock. Tartaglia brings the dressmaker's dummy into my office, drapes it with the dead girl's blouse, puts the coat over it. The bullet hole in the blouse matches the sewn-up bullet hole in the coat, right on the same line. 10 o'clock, it still matches. 10:30, Tartaglia sends out for spud nuts and coffee. 11 o'clock, we've torn the coat apart. Nothing there. 11:30, we've got a torn-up coat. Nothing else. 12 o'clock. A boy's life. A boy's life. And it's Sunday.
You are listening to Broadway's My Beat, starring Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover. May as well face it, a lot of your conversation during the course of a week is about the shows on CBS on Sunday nights. Charlie McCarthy, Edgar Bergen, Jack Benny, Red Skelton, Corliss Archer, and Eve Arden as the romantic high school teacher, our Miss Brooks. Drama lovers, next week will surely be discussing Irene Dunn's performance in The Barretts of Wimpole Street this Sunday night on the Family Hour. And everybody will be talking about Margaret Whiting's songs on the Contented Hour and Horace Height's newest finds on his Youth Opportunity program. All of these great shows will be heard this Sunday night on most of these same CBS stations with Jack Benny